Okay, everyone, listen. We are back, and this is a continuation of our conversation with Miss Pam Fields. She has been schooling us on what it is to be an overcomer. Just getting through her journey of overcoming breast cancer. Really overcoming all types of challenges throughout that time. And I want to hear more about this because there are so many things you've shared that has already helped our audience. And people have already, come to me in my back channels like, what was that website again? She gave in that live. And I want more people to hear some of the things that you have and also connect with you because you have some platforms that you created that informs your audience about your overcoming as well. So we'll start with something that I've been very curious to hear because I just want to overview this from you. We do something in business called a SWOT analysis. And for those of you who don't know what a SWOT analysis is, it is basically a terminology that stands for your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And these are things that we look for in businesses, whether it's in our own business or with competitors. But I asked Miss Pam to give us her SWOT analysis on herself throughout this journey. We're going to do a little bit of digging. And so tell us, Pam, first of all, give us a quick reintroduction for those individuals who haven't been listening long, and then go into, what do you feel like your SWOT analysis was?
So, thank you, first of all, for having me. Again, I am so excited. This is my first um, being on this type of platform. I have my little TikTok and things of this nature, but when I'm doing a one-on-one with somebody and they're asking me questions, so this is so exciting for me. I don't have a lot of nerves, but I do suffer from anxiety, so I'm doing pretty well right now. But my name is Pam Fields. I am 50. I think I'm 56. I got diagnosed a couple of years ago in 2022 with breast cancer, um, invasive ductal carcinoma, and I was stage 2, grade 3. And the grade just means how aggressive it is. It is one of the more aggressive breast cancers, but we did catch it. I had a double mastectomy. I chose to go flat, and I had 15 lymph nodes removed. And out of those 15, one was still ignited. So, on top of regular intravenous chemo, which was 24 weeks of that, and 5 weeks of radiation, I also had to do 8 cycles of oral chemo. So my body's kind of been through the ringer, and although my brain, well, no, I'm even gonna say my brain. Sometimes I feel like I'm still 20. They're saying maybe not so much, but um, that's me in a nutshell. I've got 3 beautiful daughters, 3.5, waiting for one to pop out soon. Grandkids, and so I have my beautiful. I don't call them stepchildren because I call them my wedding gifts. I gave the husband back and kept kept the wedding gifts, and so I think either 16 or 17 of the grandkids. So I've got love in my life and good friends, and so that's me in a nutshell.
I love everything I'm hearing about you. It just gives me, I got to know so much about you, just from a little bit of a hint of the beginning of your journey, which I didn't even know Pam that well, right? I just heard of it. So you never know what your journey is doing and how it's reaching people, right? And then all of a sudden I'm like, I need someone to speak about breast cancer. Like, and my mom's like, Pam, like, duh. And just to witness like your entire journey in your story. I think it's amazing. I forget my age all the time, honey. Once you hit past 30, it's like you start to just forget the numbers as they grow. I get it. I've been there, done that. I still don't remember how old I am. um, but it's just really cool to see, someone like yourself just be in this place of support, because we talk about women always needing supportive places and always, be, I mean, not just supportive places, supportive people, supportive around them, period, because we are always doing a lot for others. And that's all I'll say about that. But I love the fact that, we've heard from
Mhm.
you about people that came
Right.
to your aid when you needed it. That's important. So your
Mm.
SWOT analysis, what are those strengths? Pull them out. Like throughout this journey, what do you think you were the best at?
I think honestly, my strength was my faith because at no time did I ever think I was going to die. It just never even seeped into my spirit at all. I just knew that immediately an assignment, and I knew that it was bigger than me. So like I do the majority of things, because I've been hit some curveballs, but I mean a lot of people have. And I am a firm believer that God gives those assignments to who he knows will be able to be successful in those, even though some days they seem very challenging. But I really feel like he has his little notepad and says, yep, that's not for her, that's not for him, but okay, she can do that over there. And I really feel that way. And so I literally hit the ground running. So my faith, um, the people that supported me wholeheartedly, were definitely one of my strengths. There were people praying for me that I had no earthly idea who they were. They were coming to me, honestly, third party, because other people that were in my life, and they had reached out and asked them to pray for me or to keep my spirits up. And so that was definitely one. The organizations that I had no clue about, my doctors, they used to, and the nurses and the staff, they used to tease all the time. They was like, you have got to be the happiest cancer patient we have ever seen in our lives. But I was intentional. I was intentional from the beginning that this is something that I have. This is not who I am. And nor are you going to put that as an additional title to Pam, the cancer. No, Pam has cancer. Pam now had cancer, but this is not the totality of Pam. And I literally just had this conversation with someone that was like, you were the biggest, you were the most supportive person because of your cancer. And I'm like, yeah, let's flip this around really quickly. That's something I have. I just was very intentional of how I was going to go through this process. So God, friends, my own mental state of making sure that I was going to stay positive, definitely my family, um, and then the organizations that, came in at different, times throughout, and all of the medical staff. Um, I don't know any of those components missing. I'm not sure that it would have been the same type of story.
So I'm hearing your strengths were mainly like your relationships, and not just with God, but with your family and people around you. Because I'm going to be honest with you, like, I mean, I think it's
Mhm.
great that, people came to your aid, but the strength inside of you was that you were able to really shine, through all of it. And people were able to see that through you. I think that sometimes we see, God through our life, like, just through our overcoming something. And just hearing about the people that were just like shining, like just a sunny morning, right? Like people that can change their day. That can be a dynamic for
Mm.
them to say, wow, she's going through that. And I
Right.
wow, I haven't seen that, right? So I love how you've built relationships.
Right.
I think that's amazing. What about your weaknesses? What were the weaknesses throughout this process?
Um, I think probably the my W and my T are probably gonna be around the same, honestly. Um, the weakness was the thought process that everybody that was in my life was going to be able to take this journey with me, right? I thought, because, I've been 10 toes down for you, you know, it's time to return the favor. I need that support. And not everybody was able to take that journey. However, one of the first things that I did say when I um, got the news that I had breast cancer was, what, God, whoever's not of you and for me, allow them to go. Don't wish any harm, um, no ill will, but just if that's not what they are here for, to support and be um, a positive light right now. And it didn't necessarily have to be that they didn't want to be here. It might have been circumstances that maybe they couldn't be here because they had already maybe dealt with something like this, and it was somebody that was extremely close to them, and they just weren't able to do it again. But I had to give myself permission to let them go, and it was okay. um and then my other weakness, I don't another weakness. I think one of my biggest weaknesses was surrendering. It was very hard because I'm the go-to person. I'm the person that has solved all the problems, and it was very hard for me to ask my kids for help. Um, Sometimes I didn't even have a chance to ask them for help. I shared 18 months ago, I was walking on a rollator. I was not, I could walk 2 steps and fall in 2.2 seconds. And so my heart rate walking from my bed to my bathroom would go up to 161. And so to see how far I have come is a miracle in itself. Um, like right now, I'm having some challenges with my balance, and so it's hard for me to not go back to, oh my gosh, is this getting ready to happen again, right? So, um, but those, I think that was probably one of my bigger challenges, that surrender part and being able to accept help when usually the roles are reversed and I'm the one that, is extending the help. So,
Well, I just want to say you preached to me for that. For if nobody heard that, if nobody felt that, that was for me. I really love that you said that because we gotta give ourselves permission to let people go. Like,
mm,
and I just think that that's okay, and it's hard, and especially for the givers of the world, it's hard because there's something I believe spiritually aligned that for givers, people who like to give a lot, that we're also like healers, and people that need healing always are attracted to us, and so we have to be able to let people go and just say,
mhm,
you know what, you for a time it was great. Maybe there's better times for both of us on the other side of this. And I've seen people, relationships come back around when people let people go. Like, what do they say? If you love them, you let them go, and if it was meant to be, they come back. So it's just kind of one of those things that pop up for
Right.
me. So it resonates because I've been working on that. And that is not, that's a weakness for me too. Like that's a weakness for a lot of people. And then, you know, just holding on to your faith through times of surrendering. Yo, listen, I don't know if I told y'all the story of when I had the reel that I gave an example of what it looked like to surrender to God. It's like that, like, God, I'm ready. And then he starts pulling you and everything is out of control. Like, you're just like, what happened? So I love the fact that you bring it up
Absolutely.
because it resonates with me. Let's go over the opportunities.
Well, the opportunities, honestly,
What kind of opportunities did you find?
the probably just an advocate, not necessarily just for breast cancer. Of course, it was one of the leading things, but just for people, especially women, to advocate for themselves. Um, Probably a more concentration on the younger generation, because on this journey, I've seen so many young women under 40 who have listened to their doctors, because the doctors say that, hey, you're too young to have breast cancer, come back in a year. And we will never know if it was stage 4 at that particular time, but we know by them waiting, it was stage 4 at that particular time, when they went back. And they finally were like, hey, this is either getting bigger or it's hurting more. And then the doctor decides that it's okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that the doctors have to jump through hoops and stuff. They don't want to necessarily, especially if you have insurance, they don't want to try to offer you something that they know that the insurance company may not pay for. We know all of that red tape. But at some point, you do have to advocate for yourself. Women, especially women of color, are not always as they should be, listening to their bodies. And so, and I will encourage everyone that is under the listening ear, if you go to a doctor and they are not listening, move doctors. I don't care how long you've been going with, you need someone in your corner that is going be there for you. You're paying them, and regardless of how many degrees they have and specialties and all of this other things. I remember one of my doctors, I had breast cancer, and I had been going to him for years, and he had me on a medication for high blood pressure. I think that this is causing some stiffness in my joints. And he was like, oh no, I subscribe this all the time. You know, thousands of people, it doesn't hurt them. And I was like, but it's hurting me. And I moved because I didn't care how long I've been going to you. If you're not listening to me, and I'm telling you that this is hurting my body, and you're still not there for me, then you're not the doctor. And then the other opportunities that I would say is definitely, that is the grant that I shared. Copays.org came through when my oral chemo was um, almost $4,000 every 21 days. So it wasn't, I could handle a lot, but that was a lot. So it came through. We, saw some other ways. And the other thing, I guess what I would like to mention is check different pharmacy prices on things, because retailer, it was almost $4,000. At another retailer, both chains, dollars. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not sure why there's not regulations on drugs, but that is almost a 4,000 markup. The 4,000% markup. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, so that's honestly, that those are the things of me helping. I knew that those I guess opportunities were what's supposed to expose other people to, um and not, a lot of people like to just be like, oh, I know this little secret, and then they don't tell. No, I tell everything. I tell everything, because you never know what somebody might be going through. um I've shared and shared at the pharmacy, and it's not just for breast cancer. So let me also say that copays.org, I've seen lupus on there. Seen diabetes on there. I've seen C19 on there. I've seen all of these things on there. So, but just because people in my life were going through those things. So, um, but to be an advocate for women, and honestly for people, because um we're not always taken seriously when we go to the physicians.
Okay, so Pam, I heard you were talking about taking it seriously when you go to the physicians, and that's the last thing I heard.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so it's still
Yeah,
giving
I
some.
was just saying, for everybody, not necessarily just for women.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Not just for women, for everybody. I want everybody to feel like they're being heard when they go and talk to their doctor. The bottom line is that they are providing a service. And that service is, hey, this is not sitting well with me, and figure out how to get this paid for or approved, so that I can, mental state about this particular situation. Because like I said, there's so many people, because of their age, have been dismissed, or because of their nationality, or because of their gender. And I'm like, dude, this is my body. I know it in and out, probably more than I want to, but this is my body. And your 15 minutes in a room with me, and 9 times out of 10, you're looking at a computer or a clipboard. The majority of that time, you're not going to be able to tell me about my body.
Wow. So you know what, I truly resonate with that, and what I want to say, because I want to make sure that we get through the whole swoop. And from the O part, I want to say, like, I think it's amazing,
Mhm.
because being an advocate for that thing, people need to see and hear people that are willing to just say the truth and tell it like it is. And I've been around individuals who are like, yeah, I know something, but I'm not going to tell anybody until I can charge them for it. Right? I'm not going to spread this information, unless, like, unless someone really, really, really needs it, and then maybe I'll help. And so,
Right.
I think it's just such an amazing thing to hear, where you're like, no, I'm freely sharing. And then people, I know for a fact, right? And this is what happens when you have acts of service, is that people are going to come to you and ask you so many questions, whereas they may need more assistance and more support on different levels, right? Imagine them, people are like, I need more. And you're like, okay,
Hmm.
that's going to take more of my time. And so let's make an exchange. I love the fact that you have so many opportunities now. This is the last part, y'all. So I want Pam to dig into this for us, because she said it's kind of similar to weaknesses. And you were talking about your threats. And you were talking about your threats. And I want you to dig a little deeper, okay? Because weaknesses, really are more so kind of like the weaknesses that you have, right? Like in those moments, but people threats can kind of come from within
Mhm.
and from around you. Is there anything that you can think about that you wasn't expecting that, kind of came up as a real threat that you feel like people
Yeah.
kind of need to know about?
I think probably the first thing that comes to mind is that to an IV, people tend to forget that you're still having aftermath of cancer. Like I tease and say cancer is the gift that keeps on giving, because I haven't been on oral chemo. This month will make a year, and I have been through PT and OT, and I'm having to go back now because my balance is off. Um, Chemo brain. I'm thinking, oh, once again, I've been off of oral chemo for a year now. When is it going to, kind of, when's the brain going to switch back on? Because I could be mid sentence and completely forget everything that I was just talking about. Now, it will come back to me, but it might, of course, it might take a minute, but it seems like 10, because you're in the midst of a conversation. um the other things that come to mind, um I didn't associate PTSD with breast cancer, but I was diagnosed with it because of the trauma that I went through with one of, well, I don't even want to say just because of that trauma. I mean, breast cancer alone can impact your life tremendously. I had breast. I don't have any breast now. That is what, 30, I guess 32 weeks of chemo, um, or 32 cycles of chemo. So, I mean, it's a lot that goes through your body. Chemo doesn't just kill. And so when you realize that, that's a part of the trauma for me. Um, I think sometimes when, like I said, when people don't see you attached to an event, they just think, oh, okay, well, everything is okay. And everything is not necessarily always okay. Your mental health is affected, your physical health is affected. And those things don't go away just because you're not in active treatment. And so my trauma is having to come to the realization that not everybody is going to understand that. Um, and these could be the same people that were so understanding when you were attached to an IV. And now that you're still voicing, hey, there's some other things that are going on, and they don't understand, don't care to understand, no empathy, no sympathy. And I'm a firm believer. Everybody is two things I believe. Everybody's going through something, right? 9 times out of 10, somebody's going through something worse than you. But at that same token, I think everybody also has to give grace and mercy, because we never know. We only know what's already happened to us. We have no clue what's in front of us. None. And so I told my daughter today, my youngest, because she just started driving and she got a car. And I said, I'm going to apologize to you and everybody else, because how many times I've honked my horn, or, you know, said some nice, not so nice things because they're driving slow, not realizing, right, that they could possibly be a new driver. And so she told me, she said, there's only two things they can do. They can hit me and be in the wrong, or they can go around and wait. So, and I mean, that's the end of that. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think realizing that nobody owes you anything. I've taught my kids that from, you know, since I can remember, nobody owes you anything. Don't expect that you're going to get grace or mercy. But I think my situation was because the same people that did show me grace and mercy while I was going through, now that I'm on the outskirts of it and I'm not in active treatment, it's not that same response. And I think that's what kind of threw me, because I'm like, okay, it's still tied to this. It's not active, but it's still a residual of what I've gone through. And it doesn't always it doesn't get the same outcome. Now, am I mad? No. Am I probably a little hurt, maybe a little disappointed? Um, but it was a realization that I needed to know. And now I know how to move differently, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out to knowing how to look forward to the future, learn from our past, right? Learn from things that happened for us. I love your story, Pam. I just really do. Thank you for sharing all of that. I put it in a SWOT analysis, everyone, because I wanted Pam to just go through that thing and to outline some of the major components that we can all learn from. She's definitely been sharing a lot of her stories on her platforms, which you will see in the description of the podcast. Make sure you follow her, join her on those channels, listen to her story. From what she's already posted to what she's going to post in the future, because as I'm listening to you, and I have another question I don't want to ask before we get off, because I'm listening to you and I know that, sometimes things we go through, things we grow through, we don't know why we go through them, but just to know that you overcame that, and now so many people can just, live through your story and say, you know what, I can overcome too. She did it. I can do it. And so, looking back through the looking glass, anything you would do differently?
You know, this was the walker that I was supposed to be on. I was supposed to be on this walk, and these were the cards that I was dealt. And so the only thing that I know how to do is to jump in and do the best that I can do, and um, share the experience, because I do realize that just not necessarily, well, I will use cancer. It can be, you could literally be in a room full of people and feel completely alone. um I've learned a lot about myself through this journey. um I used to say that I was, and I just had this conversation with a friend of mine, and I told her we need to start a podcast, because I use humor, and sorry, viewers, cursing, because I still hear my Angelou in the background saying, when you curse, that's just to show that you don't have any intellect. But I use that as a mask, as a protector. I don't like. I'm projected, or people perceive me as being an extrovert, but I'm truly an introvert. I'm the, I can curse like a sailor at times. So I could, you know what I'm saying, in the context of making stuff more jazzier, for lack of better words, with the cursing. And so, but that is literally my armor, because I am trying to figure out where the closest exit is. I I enjoy myself. I enjoy my peace. When I'm at home, the majority of the time, still got kids, but for the majority of the time, my thing is protect my peace. There is no amount of money that you can offer me um, to take that away from me. I've done a lot of work. I have realized a lot of things. I thought I was strong, but damn it, I'm strong. And I didn't, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to give myself credit for that. And so um, I know that my my spirit is solid. I know my relationship with God is solid. The people that are supposed to, the people that are not supposed to be here are not, and I'm okay with that. I'll go back to, and I think I might have mentioned this the last time, but I really, we laugh at Medea, but she's got some gems. There's people here for a reason, a season, and very few for a lifetime. I recently, after losing one of my best friends the day before I had my double mastectomy, and we have been friends for over 45 years easily. And I tried to move, and I think it was subconsciously, but somebody who had not walked the walk, had not talked the talk. But I tried to move them into that lifetime. Yeah, it doesn't work. You have to prove yourself to the people that are around you, but they also have to prove themselves to you. And it can't be one-sided. It will never be 50-50. It's just like a marriage. It's not going to ever be 50-50. But doggone it, if I'm pulling 60, I need your 40, right? Or if I'm having a 30 day, I need you to step in and be a 70 that particular day. And that just does not go in, romantic relationships. Those go with friendships. Those go with your job. Someday you just don't have more than that. And you need your job, your employer to step in and say, you know what? And so with that, I wanted to thank you, let's say off camera, but then I decided that I did want to say it on camera. We were supposed to get together the next day because it was hangups with the internet, and I told you, can we just push it, a day out? And so thoughtful. And I just wanted to give you your flowers and tell you thank you for being so considerate and providing that safe place for me to say, hey, I just don't have it in me today. And we ended up moving it to the next week just so that I could be able to have a little replenished time. A good friend of mine will look at me and she'll be like, okay, your social battery's down. Right. And I'll be like, yep, because I have to realize what my limitations are. And so I wanted to thank you because you could have been like, no, we got to get this done, and you didn't do that. And on a couple of occasions between that particular day and after, you did check in and say, hey, I just wanted to check in. So in my humble heart, I wanted to thank you for, because in all honesty, this platform is the first time that we've met, and we've never even met in person. This is through your mom, of her putting us together. So I'm sorry, I got grandmother. You had to get this from somebody, right? To be able to put out into the world this extraordinary woman that you are, and how you're helping other women as they go through this journey. But to take the time for somebody literally that you've only been in a square box with, to just say, hey, I just wanted to check in on you. I honestly, wholeheartedly appreciate that.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Pam. I appreciate the flowers. I take them. I appreciate just your kind words. And, everyone, as we're, wrapping this up, I just wanted to thank Pam for, being patient because it's two-way street. Like you said, 60-40, right? Like 50-50. And every relationship has its weight. So I appreciate you for just kind of working with me through this process. Y'all make sure you follow Pam. Make sure that you join the WIN community. But most importantly, let us know how you enjoyed this podcast episode. And also make sure you listen to more episodes that we have coming in the future. Thank you so much, Pam.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.